What's up, y'all? Empress Ari here. I hope all is well with you today. Let's discuss how people are shocked that you are a flower that still grew through a forest fire. Many traumatizing events may have happened in your life. Everything around you may have seemed almost like a forest fire, but you are someone who grows through everything you go through. You are a flower that regrew right after a forest fire in your life. You have the power, you have the intelligence, and you have the protection to make it through any of life's challenges. The fires you grew through was set up so that you could burn, so that you could never grow and bloom into the flower you really are. But although the flames got close to you and almost burned you, somehow you were protected from all the burning flames that were around you. That was God. He shielded you. He kept you safe. The flaming hot fire and even the fiery darts that may have been thrown at you is what you were expected to succumb to. But you didn't, because you're so much bigger than that as a person. You're so much more mature than that. And you're still growing into who you are supposed to be in God's eyes. You survived some treacherous things. You sure did. Things that only God would really understand. These things were heavy. These things were hot, just like a forest fire. You may have gotten so frustrated because you could still feel the heat from the trees burning around you, but you kept believing in God. You kept believing that God would get you out of the fire. You didn't even know you can handle all the heat. You may have thought you couldn't, but in the process, you discovered that you were made strong. You were made to withstand certain things that other people probably wouldn't be able to handle. That's why you didn't burn with the rest of the trees in the forest. You are the flower that grew in the midst of the fire, in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the confusion. It didn't matter how hot and hectic it was around you. The fire couldn't stop you from growing. You kept watching all the big trees surrounding you just falling and turning into ashes. But your roots kept growing deeper in the ground. You became more planted in solid ground. It's truly amazing how you can grow during a time when everything else around you is burning. It's amazing how you can still bloom and display all the beautiful things about you. It's so amazing how much your faith has increased and you got so much closer to God. It is truly amazing that you weren't shaken but planted. This taught you that it really doesn't matter what may be going on around you. As long as you are keeping your eye on God, you will still grow. This taught you that you could either become a product of your environment or be the example of how not to be. You never asked or expected to be in the middle of a forest fire, but it was merely a test, another test, because I know you've had some other tests you passed already. Since you prayed to God about the fire you were surrounded by, He gave you guidance you needed to make it through. Although you were being protected by God, there was still some things you had to do to really make it through. You had to be faithful to His guidance, which was no easy task, but your growth was on the line. However, in the midst of it, you didn't want to follow no rules and guidelines and regulations and all of that. You just wanted to get away from the fire as soon as possible. But you were still obedient anyway. You went ahead and listened anyway to what God told you to do. Not only did you wind up staying true to God, but you also stayed true to yourself. Just because you carried the load of being surrounded by a fire doesn't mean it was easy, even if you made it look easy. That's why you were able to grow as a person through it all. There are things you can only learn by going through something like this. Crushing you first, then watching you burn was the attempt. But today, you stand tall as the flower that gives fragrance even to the hand that tried to crush you. Today, you stand tall as the flower that has either grown back your petals or you are in the process of doing that right now because you are still here. You survived what was thought to be something impossible to survive. But sometimes you have no idea what you can survive until you have no choice but to survive it. And when you think back, you realize that you have survived everything you thought you wouldn't. You have a will to survive. You have survived a lot. And one day, you may share your story about what you went through while being surrounded by a forest fire. And your story will be someone else's survival guide. It's so shocking, chosen one, that you are a flower that still grew through a forest fire. But nothing will burn you in a forest fire or any other environment because you are staying close to God. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll be back soon. Peace.